You're in this air-conditioned plane for 24 hours, and when they opened the doors, you knew you were not home. This is different. This is a different thing. Color was gone. It's all gray. It's all brown. This isn't training. Whatever mentality you had, you got to change that. We're doing a different thing now.
Life before 9/11, it was, obviously during the peacetime, kind of that transition from, I think Somalia was kind of the one big thing that happened right as I was coming in, right after I had joined.
We were busy, but it was all very manageable. Morale was good because there was an equal amount of training and liberty and the opportunity to enjoy some of the pretty parts of the world when we weren't out in the middle of a training area somewhere.
We still did the whole fire, fire holes and fields of fire and trenches and all that kind of stuff was still a thing. So we were still back in World War II mentality, Vietnam mentality. But we started switching over to the mount because I guess they knew something was coming involving a city.
And that was prior, and then when the war kicked off, obviously everything changed.
The city of Fallujah was approximately 300,000 people. The exterior of the city was multi-story. It looked like a fortress, a scary looking place. I'll just say that, when I first saw it. After Fallujah 1, Inherent Resolve, General Mattis chaired a very deliberate OPT to look at all the lessons learned, the things we did well, the things we needed to improve upon, et cetera, et cetera. And the division went through a very thorough review of all the events that had unfolded with an eye toward the strong potential to have to go back into the city and re-clear it. The general told all of us that it wasn't a question of if, but when we were going to be asked to do that.
1st Battalion, 8th Marines was going to Iraq. And when I got there just in time to be able to do a full about a 5 to 6 month workup to prepare, and then we deployed to Iraq. So I knew before I got to 1-8 what they were doing. I didn't care what battalion I went to, I just wanted to get in a fight.
We got off the plane, you could just smell it was just different. Something was different. We prepared as best we could for the mission, but we adapted. So when stuff changed and the tactics had to change, then we changed them.
We had no overhead cover when we first got there, so the buildings were just sheet metal roofs, and there's holes everywhere.
We are moving quick. We're moving in very low light. There's an awful lot of communication that has to take place. And I think those Marines, when we got ambushed multiple times in a day, 10, 15 times in a day, Marines stepped up. I have images in my head of Marines that were in a base of fire position, holding down the enemy off to the side. Another Marine runs out, jumps on his back, puts his weapon on top of his helmet, aims in where his muzzle's going, and now they're doubling the amount of fire to hold down the enemy so units can maneuver. The heroism that they did every day probably all should be written in books and likely won't be.
We had to show great restraint, win over local support, demonstrate that we were there for the people of Iraq, and yet go after the people that were not only harming them but harming us was a very careful balancing act.
And there's another thing a lot of people don't understand about that battle is the enemy we were facing, they knew they couldn't beat us on the battlefield. Their objective was simply to take as many of us with them as possible before they died themselves.
You know, that trust and confidence that your leadership's going to let you accomplish a mission, do your job, and is priceless. When you have that confidence, your unit has that confidence that they get to perform and do the things without being stopped, without being, you know, told, well, you know, hold back or come back, or, you know, that took a toll, I know, on a lot of the battalions that did the first Battle of Fallujah, and that's why the second was very important to accomplish the mission.
When you stack on a door, you don't know what's on the other end. You can get lucky and you can go through that door and there's nothing, and you live for another minute, but you got another door, and then the next hallway, and the next floor, and the next house, the next street. And even if you survive through all of that, it can mess with you over time. But what gets it through and why our unit was so great was the leadership. Byron Norwood, his sergeant, he was killed on November 13th. But Byron didn't have to be in Fallujah. He had a job that we assigned him, a very important job of training Iraqi National Guard. But every time he saw me, he begged me, First Sergeant, you got to get me out of here, get me back to the unit, every single time. Finally we did, right before he stepped off. He left his vehicle because he wanted to be sure that when he laid fire support, that he was accurate. And when he went up to that house to try to do his job to the best of his ability, that's when he was killed. But Byron Norwood is a story of every Marine that was over there. Best generation of Americans I could ever know.
Dale was combat wounded in Fallujah, was casevaced, was at the Bravo surgical unit, and somehow managed to find a ride back to the battalion headquarters, sneak out of the hospital. He was on his way back to Germany and the United States, and he showed up in half medical gear and part of his uniform, bandaged up and stitched up.
He was the first one to come in there and help me. He wasn't even in my platoon. So he just seen a bad situation. He was close enough to it and tried to do whatever he could do to help. By this point, more and more people are starting to build up outside the courtyard. Well, out of nowhere, Dale meets me outside the front door. And I kind of brief him up that I don't know where they are. I don't know where the Marines are. I need you, if you can, I need you to help me lay down some cover fire so I can find out where the Marines are. That's when Dale got shot.
Going into a house to help wounded brothers who were trapped inside.
Uncommon valor was a common virtue, and that was the way it was.
You're not being cliche either. That's 100% true.
The world changed for many of them in that short 10-month deployment. Everything they come back and see looks different. And in many ways, many of us didn't know why. We just know it's just different. And lo and behold, it will never be the same again.
The Marines of today, they don't know until they're suddenly there, but they'll do just as well as all of their forebears did.
But in the end, this is exactly what the Marine Corps was built to do. It's exactly why we were there, and we were able to finish the mission. And it was in our day, it was a good day for us.
I just want everybody to know, that every Marine that was there did their part, whatever that part was. As scared as they were, as hot as they were, as tired as they were, and we were where we were supposed to be.
It was everybody. Everybody in that battalion had each other's back. Didn't matter. I mean, yeah, we had the bravado of, hey, India Company's better than Kilo, and Kilo's better than Weapons or whatever, but we all had each other's back.
You can see that that other guy next to you has the same amount of skin in the game as you have, and it means a lot.
Like this jerk's doing it with a smile.
Yeah.
You gotta get a better attitude.